Quality over quantity is the name of the game for week 15. In this video, I'm going to break down my 3 favorite best bets for week 15 Sunday action. We got picks in the morning, in the afternoon, and of course, we'll round it out with a pick for Sunday night football between the Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. We're coming off a 1-1 profitable night from Monday Night Football. We cashed on Cooper Rush over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 150, but we lost on Cooper Rush over 230.5 passing yards, which ended up netting us 0.35 units. I'll take anything in the green, but I didn't see any value in that Rams versus the 49ers game. That's why you didn't see a pick video on this channel. Didn't want to force anything. Saw that the weather was going to be weird, and it was probably a good idea because that game was one of the worst I've ever seen. But how about my Rams? We're making it into the playoffs. I hope. And now the best way to support this channel and make sure to keep all of these picks free, all you got to do, just like the video, subscribe, and make sure to fill up the comments with your thoughts on my picks and whatever you're on for NFL Sunday Week 15 action. And if you're stumbling onto this page for the first time, welcome. My name is Peter Apple, and this channel is the home for all of my NFL picks moving forward. And I'm going for my 4th straight profitable season. So if you're into that sort of thing, sit back for a while, hit that subscribe button, and again, fill up the comments with what you're on for NFL Week 15. I'll be sure to answer all of them just like I always do. And just a reminder that this channel is sponsored by BetMGM. It is the perfect time to use promo code JustGridiron for a first bet offer up to $1,500. Deposit at least $10. And if you lose your first wager on BetMGM after using code JustGridiron, you'll get it all back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. However, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. Just like we always do, we'll go in chronological order. So we'll start with my pick in the 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, work our way through the afternoon, and then end again with the Sunday night football pick. We're going to look at the Miami Dolphins taking on the Houston Texans. Now, these two teams, they excel in completely different areas, making for what I think is going to be a great game that goes down to the wire. The look-ahead line for this game was Texans minus 1.5. But the Texans have been bet up to the key number of 3, and I think a big reason why is because that they're coming off the bye, extra rest, right? But however, teams coming off the bye this season are just 9-13 straight up. And it's hard not to notice that these teams coming off the bye are often getting inflated lines. It makes sense. It's largely a public narrative that coming off the bye is a great thing, but that's not always the case, especially in this spot. Before the bye week, the Texans beat the Jaguars by just 3 points and then took a week off after basically locking up the division. The Texans now have a 96% chance of making the playoffs and a 94% chance of winning the division. The tough part is they can't really climb any higher as they have less than a 1% chance of getting the bye in the AFC, so there's really no desperation here for Houston. Doesn't feel like a great spot. However, it does feel like a good spot to back Miami. They have a 15% chance of making the playoffs, and with the two teams above them being the Colts and the Broncos playing each other this week, a win here is really their only chance of staying in this race. A team in desperation mode coming off a divisional win against a team that went into the bye kind of fat and happy. That makes me think that Miami is the spot play, but does the matchup make sense here? Because it's going to be hard for the Dolphins to move the ball against this Texans elite defense, right? Houston is the 4th best defense overall by EPA this season, ranking 6th against the pass and 7th against the run. They have the 9th highest pressure rate and rank 2nd in sacks this season. It's a great unit up front that's been giving opposing quarterbacks nightmares all season long. That's a big reason why the Texans are 8-5, because their offense has fallen flat more often than not. And to take on a Houston defense, you got to get the ball out quick. We've spoken about this before. Since week 8, Tua is releasing the ball at the fastest rate in the NFL. With this style of offense, I expect it to somewhat neutralize the strength of the Texans defense. They're bringing pressure, but Tua's getting the ball out fast. And since week 8, this Dolphins offense has been the 3rd best in the league by EPA per play. They have the number 1 passing offense by success rate and dropback EPA. Tua leads the NFL in completion percentage, even over Jared Goff. The run game, though, has been the big issue, as Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert just haven't looked like the same players that they are last year. So while the run game hasn't been great, the passing attack should give the Texans issues, especially in an indoor environment. Into his career, the Dolphins are 4-1 straight up, averaging 25.6 points per game indoors. And on the other side of the ball, the Texans' offense has been pretty bad. just point blank, all season long. If you combine all the games with the Dolphins' backup quarterbacks, whether it was Snoop Huntley, Skylar Thompson, I think Tim Boyle even played a game. You combine all of those games with Tua, this offense still ranks higher than the Texans this entire season. They rank 22nd in EPA per play. That's right below the Saints and right above the Jacksonville Jaguars. Joe Mixon has largely been inefficient, and CJ Stroud has definitely regressed from last year. By EPA plus completion percentage over expectation, CJ Stroud ranks below Aaron Rodgers, 28th among 35 qualified quarterbacks. That's part of the reason that the Texans have only beaten the Patriots, Bears, Jaguars, and Cowboys by more than 3 points. Every other one of their wins have come by 3 or less. And since week 8, the Texans have the single worst success rate on offense at just 37.6%. Bobby Slowick is not an offensive coordinator I believe comes out of this bye with a completely fresh new game plan that shocks any of us. I think that the Texans are going to continue to play with their food here, and this game ends up coming down to a last-second field goal. Truthfully, I think the Texans are the most overrated team in the NFL right now, and I could eat those words if they come out of the bye with some new and improved offense. I'll change my tune if that happens. But until then, we're going to be looking to fade them down the road, especially in the playoffs. If I'm getting +3 here, I have to take it with Miami, especially considering my model makes the Dolphins +1.5. 3 is a key number, so I make sure to grab that at least up to -120. But I bet the Dolphins +3 at -110 earlier on in the week to win 1 unit. And now, if you want to build a model of your own, I highly recommend downloading Rithmm. You can find the link in the description of this video to access your 7-day free trial. You can build your own AI-backed model or use their back-tested model with tons of props and game predictions. They also do other sports if you're looking for more NBA or college football, college basketball as well. Make sure, go use that link, access your 7-day free trial, and build your own model or use their model. I highly recommend it. We move to the 4 p.m. slate where we're going to look at the total between the Eagles and the Steelers. And now the storyline from last week, which made major headlines here, A.J. Brown telling reporters that the passing game is a problem. Now, A.J. has a point. The Eagles have been middle of the road when it comes to passing all year. I'm just looking at the numbers. It's not very good. And when you watch the tape, Jalen Hurts just doesn't look the same. Holds the ball too long, isn't as accurate as he once was. And luckily, though, he's had Saquon Barkley to bail him out. But when Mike Tomlin goes into a road environment and knows your strength, he's often very good at stifling that, especially when that strength is the rushing attack. The Eagles are absurd. They're averaging 190 rushing yards per game. That's the best mark in the NFL. But against teams who average 180 rushing yards in Mike Tomlin's career, when he faces those types of teams, the Steelers are 6-3 against the spread. Against teams averaging 150 rushing yards or more, the Steelers under Tomlin are 38-23, 60% against the spread. The Steelers rank 8th in yards per attempt on the ground. So if they slow down Saquon even slightly, it'll be on Jalen Hurts to go up against this great pass defense. And I don't trust him at all right now, especially in this matchup. But I'm not taking the Steelers, because I think Russell Wilson is due for probably the worst game of his season. Wilson has been incredible on connecting deep to receivers, but he won't have his best in George Pickens, and the Eagles are the kings of limiting the deep pass, as they average 5.0 net yards per passing attempt, ranking number 1 in the league. They also rank number 1 in yards per play against. And the Steelers, with Russell Wilson, haven't really faced any good defenses this year. The 2 best defenses they faced were backs in week 2 and week 3 when they faced the Chargers and the Broncos, but that was when Justin Fields was at quarterback. Look at the defenses that Russell Wilson has faced this year by EPA. The Jets, 20th. Giants, bad. Commanders, worse. Ravens, better, but still bottom half. Browns twice, bottom half. And then the Bengals, who rank 30th in the NFL. But the Steelers did put up 27 points against the Browns last week, but they only managed to grab 267 total yards. It's another week without Pickens against a defense that's the best in the NFL against what Russell Wilson wants to do. So I think the Steelers are going to be forced into a heavy ground game that's eventually going to chew clock. And this just has the makings of a classic Mike Tomlin road under. which is 57 and 30, 66% hit rate in his career. Also, after week 12, when you get two teams facing each other that both average 130 rushing yards per game or more, the under is 35 and 26, hitting at a 57.4% rate. It makes sense. Two teams who make their money on the ground, if it weren't for Russell Wilson's deep balls, which are going to be limited here, this is going to be a ground and pound game that chews a ton of clock, not ever really approaching the key total of 43.5. So that's why I took the under 43.5 at minus 115 to win 1 unit. And this I would take all the way down to 43, and I would even consider a play at 42.5 on the under between the Steelers and the Eagles. My third and final pick is a 6-point teaser. We're going to look at a 4 p.m. game and the Sunday night football game, teasing two underdogs from plus 2.5 to plus 8.5, teasing above those key numbers of 3 and 7 to create an advantage teaser at minus 120. A reminder, don't bet 6-point teasers if your book doesn't offer minus 120 or better, as they're not profitable long term when you go above that line. Minus 125, minus 130, the break even point is just not worth it. And personally, I've been great on teasers over my entire NFL career capping, but I haven't been loving them this year, and I am just 1 and 2 on teasers. So I've been waiting for a perfect spot, for, in my opinion, to unload on a teaser, and this is what I think gets me back to 2 and 2. Now, the first leg of the teaser is teasing the Buffalo Bills from plus 2.5 to plus 8.5 against the Detroit Lions. Now, we took the Rams last week against the Bills, in part because I thought the Rams' heavy zone coverage would slow down Josh Allen somewhat, right? Because his numbers against man and against zone are on two different planets. Against man coverage, he has a 107 passer rating. That's absurd. Against zone, falls to 85.2. And against the Rams' heavy zone coverage, he had one of the best statistical games a quarterback has ever had, right? He's simply just on another level. So even looking at man versus zone right now, it is better that he is against man, because the Lions are not only a banged up defense, where we saw in the second half against the Packers and Lions game didn't look good. And now Josh Allen is going up against a team that plays man coverage at the highest rate in the NFL. Now, the Lions, they should be able to run the ball with plenty of success here, as I think that the Bills' run defense is below average. But Allen is just too good not to take advantage of plus 8.5. We also have Dan Campbell 33-1 to win Coach of the Year, and he's now a minus 150 favorite. And we also have the Lions plus 1,000 best record, which were bet at the beginning of the year. Now, if the Lions were to win by more than 8 points, those futures are going to look better than they already are. So it's somewhat of a hedge here, but even if we didn't have them, I'd be teasing the Bills anyway. But that's a nice bonus for anyone who's been betting on the Lions with me in the futures market from the beginning of the season. Now, the next leg of the teaser is for Sunday night football, as we are teasing the Seattle Seahawks from plus 2.5 to plus 8.5 against the Green Bay Packers. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, as I'll update whether we try to middle this teaser by going back in on the Packers if the Bills cover the first leg, right? You can find my X handle just up here. Now, the reason I'm teasing the Seahawks is due to their defense. I was very close to going with the Seahawks on the original line, right? Just taking them plus 2.5, maybe even taking a money line plus 3, whatever I was getting there. But with Kenneth Walker missing another game, I'll take the extra 6 points, even though Charbonnet looked awesome. And the offensive line for the Seahawks looked great against the Cardinals last week, where we cashed Seahawks plus 3. Now, the Seahawks, this is a team that's starting to rise up in my power rankings. After cashing on them last week, I rose them again because I thought they looked fantastic, both on the defensive side and on the offensive side. And they're right now only a few spots below the Packers in my personal power rankings. This defense has been the best in the NFL since week 10, right since their bye week. They rank number 1 in EPA, number 1 against the pass, and 5th against the run. They held the 49ers with CMC. Right? This isn't the same 49ers offense that looks kind of lost right now. Well, they look great against the Bears. But this is an offense with CMC, held them to just 17. Then, over 2 different games, held the Cardinals to 24 points in total. And they allowed 21 points to the Jets. But only 14 of them came on offense. The other 7 points came on a kick return. And those 14 points by the Jets came in the first quarter. Right? This defense has been great. And I expect them to continue to give the Packers problems. Now, on the flip side, this Packers defense is solid, right? In that same span, they rank 12th in the NFL and 8th overall this season. But they play zone at the 12th highest rate in the NFL. And Geno has been excellent against zone coverage this year with the 5th highest completion percentage and a 95.7 passer rating. I expect Geno to be efficient in this game, similar to our cap from Jared Goff last week when we hit his over on passing yards. The Packers have the seventh worst completion percentage against, and Geno is completing 69.5% of his passes. This pass defense is really a bend don't break defense, which is a good matchup for Geno, right? He's going to throw to what the defense gives him. So that's kind of already his game anyway. I expect longer drives from Seattle and for their defense to do enough to keep it within a touchdown here. So give me a Seahawks and a Bills 6-point teaser, teasing them both up from plus 2.5 to plus 8.5 at minus 120 to win 1 unit. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think of my picks for NFL Week 15 Sunday action. Again, apologies for not coming out with a Thursday night video. Didn't want to force a pick on you when I didn't like anything. And this Sunday, I don't need to go with my 5 picks. I'm focusing on my 3 favorite best bets to get us a green Sunday, and make sure to turn on post notifications as my Monday night pick video. We got 2 games is going to be out soon. Let's go 3-0. Why not us?